ADHD is not a disorder. It is a survival upgrade. The world misunderstood. Your mind was not designed for quiet rooms, slow routines, or lifeless repetition. Your mind was built for threat, for intensity, for challenge, for movement, for storms. You do not struggle because you are weak. You struggle because you carry a brain wired for a world that no longer exists. This is the truth you were never told. Your racing thoughts, your hyperfocus, your emotional intensity, your restless drive, your deep sensitivity, these are not malfunctions. These are survival instincts. These are ancient weapons. These are the traits that kept your ancestors alive, while others froze. The world calls you disordered because they do not understand the fire in your wiring. You do not lack discipline. You lack danger. You do not lack focus. You lack meaning. Your brain does not activate until something matters deeply. That is not failure. That is design. You are not lazy. You are scanning every possibility at once. You are built for the unexpected. You are built for the unknown. You are built for storms. Your mind reacts fast, because ancient environments demanded it. Danger did not wait. Survival did not pause. Your ancestors sensed threats others missed. They noticed patterns hidden in the noise. They moved before others understood what was happening. You inherited that speed. You inherited that scanning ability. You inherited that lightning alertness. This is the survival upgrade the world mislabels as distraction. But modern life is not built for minds like yours. Society wants obedience, not instinct. It wants quiet compliance, not roaring creativity. It wants straight lines, not storm paths. This mismatch creates guilt. You blame yourself for struggling in environments never designed for you. But this guilt is manufactured. It is not yours. You were built different. You freeze when tasks feel unclear because your brain evolved to avoid wasting effort on uncertain threat. You explode into hyperfocus when stakes rise because your brain evolved to dominate danger once the target locked in. You remember emotional pain more intensely because your ancestors needed to avoid repeating deadly mistakes. Every trait you hate is a trait that protected someone before you. This is the survival upgrade. This is the ancient fire inside you. This is the storm in your blood. But storms have shadows. You feel too much. You think too fast. You sense too deeply. You carry emotional intensity like a blade that cuts both ways. People who do not feel life at your volume cannot understand the weight you carry. They judge your inconsistency. They judge your lateness. They judge your unfinished tasks. They judge your chaos. They never judge your own lack of intensity, lack of empathy, or lack of creativity. They call you a problem because your power makes them uncomfortable. They underestimate you. They mislabeled you. They betrayed your wiring. They tried to tame a storm that was never meant to be gentle. They treated your depth like a flaw. But storms do not apologize. You will not apologize either. You were not built to be manageable. You were built to be powerful. Your shame did not come from failure. It came from misunderstanding. You felt broken because the world refused to recognize your design. You felt weak because the world punished your strengths. You felt out of place because you were born with tools for a battlefield, not a classroom. But what breaks you in the wrong environment builds you in the right one. Your mind moves in intensity. Your energy comes in waves. Your focus arrives like a blade, sharp and unstoppable when aligned. Your intuition reads people faster than they can speak. You recognize patterns others cannot see. You hyperanalyze because your survival once depended on decoding danger instantly. This is not disorder. This is adaptation. But every upgrade has a cost. Your speed becomes overwhelm. Your sensitivity becomes exhaustion. Your creativity becomes chaos. Your emotional depth becomes guilt. You feel like too much and not enough at the same time. You chase meaning but drown in pressure. You break under small tasks, yet rise under impossible ones. This contradiction does not make you weak. This contradiction makes you human with ancient wiring in a modern cage. Now the rebuild begins. You will not kill the storm. You will learn to command it. The first transformation is awareness. You must see your traits for what they truly are. Hyperfocus is not obsession. It is a survival engine. Emotional intensity is not instability. It is a deep pattern detector. Restlessness is not distraction. It is readiness. Your mind is not broken. Your environment is mismatched. Awareness cracks the cage. Awareness destroys shame. The second transformation is alignment. You must build your life around your fire, not against it. You need tasks that matter, goals that carry weight, movement instead of stagnation, challenge instead of boredom. Your mind ignites when stakes rise. Use that. Chase work that demands your intensity. Create systems that trigger motion. Align your behavior with your ancient design. Alignment unlocks power. The third transformation is identity. You cannot ascend with the identity of someone who is broken. You cannot rise while calling yourself lazy, weak, or scattered. Identity shapes behavior. Identity shapes destiny. You must become the one who commands the survival upgrade inside you. You must see yourself as someone built for storms, someone forged for pressure, someone who does not crumble when life intensifies. Identity sharpens the blade. You carry instincts that once kept tribes alive. You carry sensitivity that once detected danger before others sensed anything. You carry speed that once prevented death. You carry creativity that once solved impossible problems. You were built for survival, not compliance. Built for movement, not stagnation. Built for storm warfare, not quiet obedience. You were not broken. You were not lazy. You were built different, and now you rise with your upgrade fully recognized. You have spent your entire life trying to survive in a world that demands calm while your mind was built for storms. The world told you to sit still, to focus on one thing, to slow down, to quiet the chaos. But your brain never operated on those rules. Your brain was wired for movement, vigilance, rapid analysis, and explosive action. You were designed to detect change, not follow routine. This is why you feel alive in intensity but suffocated in repetition. This is why you thrive under pressure but collapse when things feel meaningless. Your mind is not failing. It is waiting for the right conditions to unlock. Your racing thoughts are not disorder. They are rapid-fire scanning. You are always preparing for what could happen. Always mapping possibilities, always sensing invisible shifts. People mistake this for anxiety or distraction. They do not realize your brain is running survival simulations every second. You think fast because your ancestors needed to move fast. They needed to catch danger before danger caught them. You inherited that engine. Your emotional intensity is not a flaw. It is a high-sensitivity alarm system, meant to detect threats, shifts, and hidden dangers in seconds. When something feels wrong, you feel it deeply. When something feels right, you feel it intensely.
You are tuned into emotional frequencies that others never notice. This is why betrayal cuts you harder. This is why underestimation fuels you. This is why loyalty means everything. Sensitive nervous systems kept tribes alive. Yours was built from that lineage. Your time blindness is not stupidity. It is immersion. It is deep presence. It is your brain dropping the artificial concept of time when focus or emotion takes over. Only a survival mind does this. Time disappears when adrenaline rises.
Time disappears when danger comes. Time disappears when instinct activates. You do the same, not because you are irresponsible, but because your brain enters a different mode of awareness. But the world punishes what it does not understand. It criticized you for being inconsistent. It judged you for being chaotic. It dismissed your ideas as unrealistic. It interpreted your energy as immaturity. These judgments created scars. They taught you to doubt your fire. They forced you to hide your speed. They convinced you that your survival traits were defects. That was the betrayal. That was the misunderstanding that broke your confidence. You grew up feeling like an outsider inside your own skull. You blamed yourself for not fitting into systems built for calmer minds. But the truth is simple. You were never meant to fit. You were meant to lead. You were meant to innovate. You were meant to sense what others ignore. The world needs minds like yours, but it does not know how to recognize them until they succeed. So you must succeed anyway. This is where the psychological break becomes the psychological rebuild. You cannot keep living as if your wiring is a mistake. You cannot keep treating your instincts like enemies. You cannot keep apologizing for intensity. You cannot keep shrinking your storm to fit a silent room. You need to rebuild your identity from the ground up through understanding, strategic control, and unapologetic alignment with who you truly are. The first strategy is reclaiming your strengths. Hyperfocus is one of the most powerful cognitive states a human can enter. It turns you into a machine. It eliminates hesitation. It transforms you into someone who can complete 10 hours of work in 1 hour. But hyperfocus is not random. It activates when the brain senses emotional meaning or danger. You can train it through triggers, deadlines, competition, or purpose attachment. You do not wait for hyperfocus. You summon it. Creativity is your second survival weapon. Your brain forms nonlinear connections. It jumps between ideas. It sees solutions others overlook. This was essential for survival in unpredictable conditions. Now it becomes essential for building careers, solving problems, and creating opportunity. But creativity needs stimulation. You must allow movement, novelty, and experimentation. Denying creativity is like denying breath. Your emotional depth is your third strength. Deep empathy, deep connection, deep intuition. These were crucial for keeping groups united, sensing unspoken danger, and predicting behavior. People fear deep feelers because deep feelers see truth. Your emotional depth lets you read silence. You sense intentions. You feel energy. You detect lies without needing evidence. This is not weakness. This is perception sharpened through generations. But strength without structure becomes chaos. So the second transformation strategy is building systems that match your wiring. Normal systems do not work for you. They never will. You operate in bursts, waves, and cycles. Accept that rhythm. Build around it. Use short sprints, high-intensity work windows, body doubling, movement-driven tasks, and purpose-based triggers. You do not need discipline the way others define it. You need systems that ignite your natural fire. Break tasks into micro starts, so your brain feels safe. Use novelty to wake up your focus. Use physical movement to reset your thinking. Use external cues to replace internal timing. This is not cheating. This is optimization. You cannot win by copying minds that do not function like yours. You win by designing systems that unleash your survival upgrade. The third transformation strategy is identity ascension. You cannot rise as long as you view yourself as someone who always struggles. You must replace that identity with one built on truth. You are someone whose brain evolved for intensity, not mediocrity. Someone who moves with storm energy. Someone who sees patterns others miss. Someone who feels deeply because deep feeling was survival. Someone who does not crumble under pressure but awakens inside it. Identity is everything. Once you see yourself as someone powerful, your actions change. Once you see yourself as someone capable, your habits shift. Once you see yourself as someone built different, the shame loses its grip. You become sharper. You become clearer. You become unstoppable. You step into the throne you spent your entire life avoiding. People underestimate you because they could not understand the storm you carry. They did not know that this storm was built for survival. They did not know that this fire was meant to protect. They did not know that this energy was designed to conquer chaos. But now you know. Now the storm is yours to command. Your survival upgrade is awakening. Your ancient wiring is activating. Your shame is breaking. Your identity is rebuilding. The storm inside you is rising again, not to destroy you but to rebuild you in a form no one is prepared for. This is not disorder. This is evolution. This is not a malfunction. This is adaptation. This is not chaos. This is potential waiting for direction. And your direction begins now. You are standing at the threshold of a truth most people will never discover. The traits you were taught to fear are the traits that will elevate you. Your mind is not a broken machine. It is an ancient weapon that was never given a proper manual. You were raised in a world built for routine, silence, and straight lines. But your mind was forged for motion, instinct, and survival. You are not here to fit into their systems. You are here to build your own. This is the moment your identity shifts. This is where the shame dissolves. This is where you trying to be normal and start trying to be powerful. You cannot keep living like a storm forced into a box. You cannot keep pretending that your intensity is something to hide. You cannot keep shrinking your energy to make others comfortable. You are not built for smallness. You are built for ascension. Every struggle you faced was not weakness. It was misalignment. You were forced into environments that never matched your biology. Schools punished your restlessness. Jobs punished your creativity. Society punished your sensitivity. None of that meant you were flawed. It meant you were different. It meant you were ahead. It meant your survival upgrade clashed with their comfort. But the world is changing. Creativity has value. Speed has value. Pattern recognition has value. Emotional depth has value. Hyperfocus has value. You are entering the era where minds like yours dominate. The traits that once got you scolded will now build empires. The chaos that once scared you will now fuel your rise. The storm inside you was never the problem. The cage around it was. Your transformation begins with ownership. You must own your speed instead of calling it distraction. You must own your curiosity instead of calling it lack of focus. You must own your emotional intensity instead of calling it weakness. You must own your restlessness instead of calling it failure. Ownership kills shame. Ownership sharpens identity. Ownership turns chaos into strategy. The next stage is control, not suppression. Control means learning your rhythms, recognizing when your fire is rising, knowing when your energy collapses, understanding the signals your brain sends before it overloads. Most people try to force consistency, but consistency is a myth for minds like yours. Rhythm is your truth. Intensity is your truth. Cycles are your truth. You rise like waves. You move like storms. When you accept this, you stop fighting your nature and start riding it. Every ADHD mind carries a cycle: spark, surge, crash, reset. When you deny this cycles, you collapse. When you accept this cycles, you ascend. The surge is your weapon. The crash is your recovery. The reset is your preparation. You were never meant to burn evenly. You were meant to explode, recharge, and explode again. This is how storms operate. This is how warriors operate. This is how creators operate. You are all three. The world underestimated you because they only saw the crash. They never saw the surge. You finish in bursts that others cannot keep up with. You create in waves that others cannot match. You understand people with an accuracy that others cannot explain. You feel truth in your bones while others need evidence. Your mind is not slow. Your mind is not scattered. Your mind is not confused. Your mind is running a different operating system, one built for survival in unpredictable environments. This is why you react fast. This is why you sense danger instantly. This is why your intuition scares people with its accuracy. This is why you break rules that do not make sense. This is why you feel trapped in systems designed for repetition instead of innovation. Your survival upgrade rejects stagnation. It rejects boredom. It rejects anything that fails to challenge your fire. But challenge must be controlled. You cannot let your storms run without direction, without purpose. Intensity becomes self-destruction. Without structure, creativity becomes chaos. Without meaning, your energy burns a hole through your life. That is why the final transformation is purpose. Purpose is the throne your storm must serve. Purpose turns your survival wiring into destiny wiring. Purpose stabilizes your fire. Purpose activates your hyperfocus. Purpose gives your emotional depth a mission. Purpose gives your sensitivity direction. Purpose transforms your racing thoughts into strategy. Purpose turns chaos into clarity. Without purpose you drift. With purpose you dominate. Your purpose does not need to be perfect. It only needs to give your mind something to aim toward. Aim is everything. Your brain does not crave simplicity. It craves significance. When something matters, you become unstoppable. When something is meaningless, you become immovable. This is not disorder. This is selective activation. This is survival logic. This is ancient wiring doing its job. Now you rise as someone who understands their design. You rise as someone who refuses to apologize for their intensity. You rise as someone who rejects shame. You rise as someone who sees their traits not as failures, but as weapons. You rise with the knowledge that your genetics did not betray you. Your genetics prepared you. You were born with instincts that others lack. You were born with perception others cannot access. You were born with creativity that refuses boundaries. You were born with emotional depth
that sees the truth beneath the surface. These traits do not make you unstable. They make you powerful. You were built different. You were built for storms. You were built for survival. And now you are built for ascension. Your life changes the moment you stop chasing normal and start mastering extraordinary.
The moment you stop trying to flatten your fire and start feeding it. The moment you stop fearing your storms and start commanding them. You are not meant to walk through life quietly. You are meant to carve out space with intensity, vision, empathy, and speed. The world will not understand your rise. It does not need to. The world only needs to feel the impact of your transformation. You do not need permission to evolve. You do not need validation to ascend. You only need acceptance of your nature and mastery of your storm. ADHD is not a disorder. ADHD is an upgrade, a survival advantage, a different path of intelligence, a storm-forged blueprint, a mind built for chaos and creativity, a brain wired for danger and destiny. You are not broken, you are equipped, and now that you understand this truth, nothing can stop your rise. Subscribe to unlock your next transformation.